Hey guys, welcome to Nerdcast, and in case you've forgotten who we are, I'm Jess.
And I'm reading your emails.
Don't talk to him. Today, we have a great show for you. There's an Amazon box that isn't quite a console.
And I'm reviewing Infamous Second Son and Divergent.
Jeremy and Lucas are doing something. What are they doing?
I don't know. I don't talk to them.
Me neither. It's something comic book and anime related, but it's great, really. And this is the nerd news and reviews, anything that you could ever want. This
is Nerdcast.
To the Batmobile. Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed. Roger. Ready to move out.
So you reviewed Divergent. Is it like Hunger Games where it has a strong female lead, or does it diverge from the norm?
Oh, we're doing puns now.
News and views, everybody.
So it's pretty easy to look at Divergent and just assume that it's a young adult dystopian society novel somehow transformed into a full-length feature film. Because it is. That's all it is. Divergent is Hunger Games for dumb kids. Twilight originally filled this role, but awkwardly, since one was a sci-fi movie, and the other was what happens when a fan fiction writer tries to convert children to abstinence using monsters. Divergent is the story of one boring, unassuming girl who discovers that she's secretly got special powers that make her a unique snowflake. So she lives in a destroyed version of Chicago because of a war that's never explained, and now society survives by dividing everyone into cliques in order to create a universe that's one-half one-dimensional characters and one-half high school metaphor.
Yeah, fitting in is super hard, you guys.
So our main character just wants to get away from her lame-o parents who totally don't understand her so she can have fun doing mediocre parkour with the cool kids. There's also some overarching plot about a government coup, but you wouldn't know that from the first hour of the movie, which is just a training montage. That ends with getting the hot guy to like you. The brooding hot guy.
It doesn't matter what you're watching. This character's name is Sasuke-kun.
When the plot decides to show up, we find that Our Lady child actor's special power, being a divergent, basically just means she's an individual capable of critical thought. And being an individual in this universe means that people totally try to kill you if they find out. Also, she's somehow immune to mind control that makes all the other conformists into slaves, because this movie deals only in heavy-handed metaphors. Of course, they figure out she's a divergent in the most convoluted plot device I've ever seen. They apparently determine a child's job in this society based on a combination hallucinogenic experience mixed with a personality test.
Sounds like this is more of a college metaphor than a high school one.
But here's the thing. Divergents are just people who can think, and there's no reason any society would want to kill the people most capable of solving problems. Isn't that what their smart people academic cast does anyway? This government coup is technically nonconformity to the current system. Are they all divergents? This movie's universe is complete nonsense.
Is the book any better?
I don't know. I respect myself too much to read it. But I guess I can only riff on the plot, setting, story structure, and characters for so long. The acting's bad too. This actress' name is Shailene Woodley. You may know her from Life of an American Teenager. That should tell you all you need to know about this movie's target audience. Interesting side note, Woodley tried out for the role of Katniss Everdeen and didn't get it. Now she's in this, forever the discount version of Jennifer Lawrence.
Thanks, IMDb.
If the Hunger Games were a person, and someone cloned that person, and the clone came out kinda derpy, that's Divergent. The Hunger Games movies weren't even that good, and they were already stripped-down versions of their books, but Divergent had a lot of dead air that could have been cut, so I can't even imagine what they stripped out. Did they prioritize deadpan face shots over character development? Basically, if you liked Hunger Games, you should actively hate this movie. It fails on every level, and the first half of the movie could have been brushed over in exposition, but that would have only left a vaguely sci-fi action climax and 20 minutes of runtime, because that's how insubstantial this movie is. And they're probably going to make 3 more.
If you have an iPad and do most of your work on it, you might just want to put down the fanboy hat for a moment and go try out the new Microsoft Office for iPad. After the trial version expires, there will be a subscription to use it, but hey, Office Mobile is now free for both Android and iOS, so you'll still be able to read the documents if you don't feel like shelling out the cash.
What is with this subscription-based Office? Did Microsoft finally realize you have to force us to upgrade from XP these days?
Looks like it. Oh, by the way, XP is no longer being supported. Hope you guys have 7. Samsung has shown off some new monitors recently, and they're looking pretty snazzy. The most expensive one has a billion color 3840 by 2160 size screen and costs more than what you're willing to pay for just a computer monitor.
Ooh, shiny.
The FCC is trying to promote faster public Wi-Fi, i.e. free coffee house Wi-Fi. We read the report so you didn't have to, and basically they're just freeing up some bandwidth. A new study shows why you always need to upgrade your phone. Newer phones and OSs make apps a little less likely to crash. If you keep your old phone, you'll still be able to use the apps you want. They're just less stable than if you had a newer version of the OS.
So why can't they just update the phone OSs automatically?
Well, other than money and the occasional outdated hardware, they hate you. And by you, I mean you specifically. Have you ever been feeling really lazy? Like really, really lazy? And that if you could magically pull out a full, healthy meal from right next to your computer, you would eat that for dinner instead of Mountain Dew and Doritos? Well, a little group called Natural Machines wants to make this easier for you.
Do tell.
Foodini is a 3D printer for food, but it's not available yet. First, you have to donate to their Kickstarter, and yes, that's with an E. They didn't really change their name back. They're about halfway towards their goal, but remember, you still need to buy the fresh ingredients yourself.
If it doubles as a way to make Mountain Dew, then yeah, I'm in.
New Xbox One notifications let jerks know that they're being, well, jerks.
I'm looking at you, 12-year-olds who swear and somehow learned racial slurs.
Basically, you're being told that you're not playing fair or just plain being unreasonable, and eventually you fall into the red zone if you don't shape up. This warns other players not to play with those in the red, and eventually the only people that they'll be able to play with are other jerks. Also, Sony might borrow this idea if a recent user survey is any indication.
Ever since the PS4 came out, it has desperately needed a big title to push it along. So far, it's been a dry spell, with the best games being, well, free giveaways on the PlayStation Network, and that's still only about half the time. Thief was supposed to be the next big thing, but it was uninspired. And everything else is still available on the PlayStation 3. Sony fanboy that I am, there's just no reason to get a PS4 right now. And that's scary, because Titanfall stole the Call of Duty crowd and is conquering sales charts. What Sony needs is a savior. And what better place to look than one of the PS3's major flagship series? Infamous Second Son. It is a sequel, or possibly a reboot. Probably. Yeah, I don't know either. But I do know that it's definitely a game.
Nailed it!
It's a game about powers, and shooting, and world exploration, and... damn it, this is just the first game all over again. This is exactly the same stuff. I mean, yeah, there are 4 powers now instead of 1, but from a gameplay perspective, the powers never change how the player approaches combat. Did the devs think that just because the X-Man powers were red instead of blue this time, we'd all be completely blown away? I hate to sound completely conceited, but I am, so why pretend? Making an Infamous game must be dead easy. You just fill in the power checklist, then make a good variant for people who don't want to do damage ever, and an evil side for Nazis and people who want to get through the freaking game. Ugh, why does everything have to have so much health?
Push-ups.
Every power comes with a different light, heavy, melee, and automatic win attack, but apart from the way each power helps you move around the city, they're completely interchangeable and don't change your overall playstyle. The entire game could have existed without them, and that means gimmick. It's a gimmick. It's a big, gimmicky gimmick designed to suck players in and fill space so the devs can charge you full price while pretending to be your friend. At least that's the feeling I got. Second Son is a distraction, while Sony checks its footnotes in how to make games for dummies. don't be fooled by the shiny graphics or the fact that it supposedly takes place in Seattle, because apart from the Space Needle, you could have just called this place City A or Setting. I mean, it's Seattle, it's the birthplace of grunge, and they can't get a Nirvana song until the end credits? Oh, thanks for letting me listen to 12 hours of twangy ambient noise and car horns. Man, talk about playing it safe. Second Son just feels like busy work. Clearing the game is basically a big scavenger hunt sprinkled with fights, like an Easter egg hunt in a bad neighborhood. Every enemy is a shoot, dodge, rinse, repeat scenario, and with way too much health. And by the end of the game, enemies are so beefy that all you can do is wait for your mini-nuke to charge. Not a lot of depth, just shoot a bit, then blow up everything, with one of 3 30-second attack animations that stop being cool after the 30th time. The story's predictable, especially if you're a fan, and there's only really 3 boss fights, but plenty of chase sequences? I guess fans wanted to run around like an idiot some more? Basically, this game's biggest problem is just how completely bland it is. From the story to the gameplay to the exploration, this game is about doing your chores. It's entirely functional, but so are colostomy bags. So this is just the same stuff traveling down a shinier pipe. I can't even figure out why this needed to be on the PS4, apart from the spray paint missions, which are basically just coloring, because they required the special PS4 shaky motion sensor gimmick. The games I like the least are the ones that sit right in the middle of average. Second Son is a complete game, yeah, but aside from spray painting, it does very little to expand itself. But I say pick it up if you're a fan, or you desperately want to use your PS4. Otherwise, you can miss this and get away completely clean.
Nintendo is giving you more choices if you were looking into picking up a handheld. A Mickey Edition 3DS XL will be on sale April 11th, as well as a pink and white 2DS for Kirby, but only in Europe for that last one.
Which means I can't get a pink 2DS.
Well, GameStop is getting a peach pink 2DS, complete with carrying case, but it's not Kirby related. Divergent dropped to second place in the box office with the release of Noah. People just can't get enough of that Emma Watson. Muppets Most Wanted is third in the box office now. These movies can't compete, however, with Disney's latest hit, as it is still on everyone's mind. Some firefighters in Boston sung "Let It Go" to calm a 4-year-old girl while rescuing her from an elevator.
No, we're not kidding. It saved lives.
Honestly, as long as it doesn't cause it to snow, people can sing it for as long as they like. One dev on Kickstarter refuses to accept that Facebook bought Oculus. Developer Twinbeard added the stretch goal of buying Oculus if it gets $2 billion in donations.
Give it a rest already, guys.
Amazon has finally put to rest all of those rumors of an Amazon game box. Last week, they announced the Amazon Fire was available for sale.
Amazon Fire. Why haven't I heard of this before?
Well, it's Amazon's response to Apple TV, the Ouya, Chromecast, and pretty much any game console to stream Netflix. The specs are similar to the Ouya, but it doesn't come with a controller. You have to pay extra for that. The small remote it does come with has a mic for voice control where you don't scream at the TV. It has both paid and free games and has several devs such as Ubisoft making new ones.
Well, that's all well and good, but isn't that all just an April Fool's joke?
Actually, it's not. But would you like to hear what some of the jokes were?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Google was busy adding to the mayhem with 3 different pranks. You could use a Shelfie or shareable selfie as your Gmail background. Have your pictures photobombed by David Hasselhoff in Google+, thanks to the magic that is Photoshop. And go wander your neighborhood in the hopes of catching some Pokemon in Google Maps. There was a Roku smartwatch, PS Vita smartphone, videos of sizzling bacon and rotisserie chicken on Netflix, Happy Reaper, which is Blizzard's Flappy Bird clone, and Snow from the makers of Rain was announced as well.
Hey, I reviewed that game. Well, Rain. Snow doesn't exist.
There was also an announcement of a real-world mining simulator.
Wait, is this still a joke? I swear I saw that on Steam next to Tractor Simulator, which I also reviewed.
An interactive Real Portals Portal Cake t-shirt from ThinkGeek. Dark Souls 2 was getting an easy mode patch. And multi-dad mode for Octodad.
I want the shirt, but I'm glad the other 2 things aren't real.
And if Mitch is done talking about games that he's already reviewed,
I'm done.
Domino's was going to have an edible box to get more people to buy their pizza, and that's all I really care to share. If I listed everything, we'd be here all day.
Well then, now we shall move on to discussing the more important issues in
No,
today's
no,
show.
no, 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 no. We're not going to do Stephanie Brown again, okay?
But
No, just no.
but
Sit.
what about Aquaman?
Okay, now you're just trying to hurt my feelings. You know what? Just words with pictures.
Ultimate Comics Spider-Man number 200. This issue is pretty large and pricey for something that's simply a tribute to a dead Spider-Man. The numbering for this issue only exists because of all the random previous numbered Spider-Mans. There's no Ultimate Spider-Man 199, however there have been 199 Ultimate Spider-Man issues. The whole thing feels well-paced and all, and most of it feels necessary to itself, but looking at this issue as a whole, it just doesn't feel completely essential. I'm sure part of it is due to the fact that I've only read the Ultimate Spider-Man stories about Miles Morales, so only certain parts of this issue were personally rewarding. This is probably something more suited for anyone who read the Peter Parker Ultimate Spider-Man stories.
Too long. Didn't read.
Some of the looks of the potential futures for Peter fell flat for me because I just kept thinking, well, it's not like these are hopeless futures. We've got the main Peter Parker to do this, and he's already done some of this. Then there was a weird, tiny cliffhanger at the end that just left me very confused. Basically, if you're not caught up in the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff, you don't need this at all. But if you are, it should be pretty darn touching. 7.5 out of 10.
All right, so first up on the chopping block this week, we're looking at Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. And quite frankly, does anyone care anymore?
4 out of 5 Magic the Gathering players say no.
Well, that's what we thought. So, again, Arc 5.
I think they gave up on trying to name the series at this point.
It's about a 14-year-old student named Yuya Sakaki who wants to be a professional entertainment duelist. Yes, it's diluted that far. Anyways, the whole series is him going on this soul-searching journey on, do I really have what it takes to make it this far? And long story short, it's just the same story with a different title on it.
Inhuman number 1. After some significant delays, this new era of the Marvel Superhumans arrives. A lost DNA link among certain humans, elevating them into something more with powers to enter a world that fears and hates them for what they are.
Because that sounds completely original.
Yeah, and that's what really bugs me about this. The origin source is different, and we've got their secret kingdoms and elaborate secret hierarchy that seems intriguing, but the bottom line for the Inhumans is exactly the same as the bottom line for the mutants and the X-Men. They're more than human collectively, so humans hate them collectively.
Because nothing unites people more than hating the other guys.
And they don't hate that small circle of heroes who got their powers through unconventional means. Really, it'll have to be the shadow politics that sells this, not the vaguely new but heavily familiar racism. Joe Madureira's art is really nice and lively, but Marte Garcia's extremely dark colors significantly mute that effect. 7 out of 10.
So next up we have something personally that I like. It's a little bit of a slice of life story.
I would rather have a slice of pizza.
The series, The Comic Artist and Assistants, initially started out in 2008 as a 4-panel comic. And it was about a professional manga artist and, well, his assistants and the romantic entanglements that came thereafter.
Stephanie Brown time?
Not quite. This one has been a bit of an interesting read, and it's going to be interesting to see as an anime series. But to be honest, it's looking like it's going to be very similar to series like Record or Love Get Chew, so food for thought.
Detective Comics number 30. I'm still sad to see John Layman leave this series, especially with Gothtopia not living up to expectations. But a new era of Detective Comics had to begin. Francis Manipool is still a bit of a newcomer to writing, and while his Flash run showed definite improvement by the end, he still hasn't gotten my seal of approval as a great writer.
Nor Fluffernutters.
This first issue has so many little things going on, and it lacks focus. The arc titled Icarus seems like such a throwaway part of the story, and I've got no idea what the main plot is supposed to be. The layouts definitely have a great style, as we'd expect from Manipool's art, but it's not as amazing as on The Flash, and the colors are a bit bright at times for Batman. A very uncertain start for this new creative team. 6.5 out of 10.
Okay, so quick question. What in the world of anime has to do with action, comedy, and sci-fi?
Ooh, Space Dandy Season 2?
Not quite. I wish it was, but it's not. Instead, we've got Diamond Daler, the sound robot.
That is a mouthful.
Or an earful. The main character, Koichi, has what's called high-ero particles.
So the main character is not Diamond Dallas the sound robot?
Okay, so the title's a little misleading. Basically, these particles give the main character the ability to control this weaponized robot called Diamond Daler, the sound robot. And he's helped by Sonin Kyoko from the mysterious Prince Beauty Parlor organization as they unite to fight the evil Penguin Empire that plagues humanity.
I'm so lost.
We all are, Jeremy. We all are.
Aquaman and the Others, number 1. Aquaman's hitting the big leagues. 2 ongoing series at once, and he's got his own team like Batman's Outsiders. Definitely this series' existence by itself is good news for fans of the King of Atlantis.
And guess who's not one of them?
This series is definitely for those who are already fans of The Others. There is basically nothing about this issue that goes out of its way to change your mind about the team. Either you already like them, or you don't.
Still don't.
So if you like them, you're in luck, because this is more of them, without the forced sense of filler that their more recent appearances have had. The art is smooth, and the storyline is shaping up to fill even more corners of Aquaman's expanding mythology. Although there's this one major plot element that's incredibly stupid if the character's theory is true. Overall, it's a fairly promising start. 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, so I wouldn't really feel like this was a very realistic news show if we didn't bring you, well, cultural or celebrity news.
We're a realistic news show?
Well, that's what my producer tells me.
No, I don't.
Okay, so we're not. Anyways, the former Japanese Prime Minister, Taro Aso, recently bought a copy of Golgo 13. Now, you're probably wondering, what is he doing buying this manga, a comic book?
You mean...
Yep, that's right. The former Japanese Prime Minister is actually a huge fan of the manga medium and was actually responsible, for your fun fact of the day, as being the spearhead behind the whole idea of having the International Manga Award. Now, this goes all the way back to 2007 and still stands today.
You're slipping, Obama.
This just goes to show, you're never too old, too professional, or too high profile to enjoy a good read while supporting your local comic shops.
Just the right amount of darkness, plot intrigue, and shenanigans.
All right, so for my top 3 this week, we're looking at number 3, Nobunagan. Now, the show is becoming very popular and very well known for its original strong female character, an awesome opening theme, superpowers, and heavy, heavy firepower. What's not to see?
Magneto number 2. Just the right amount of darkness, plot intrigue, and shenanigans that the first issue was missing.
At number 2, we have Defrag, which is looking at drama, narrative storytelling integrity, and plenty of slapstick humor to spare. Could this be a new, lighthearted dot hack sign?
Green Arrow number 30. Are you surprised? Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino are continuously cranking out platinum on this series.
And keeping a very firm grasp at the top of our list, but not so much on reality, we have Space Dandy, the series about high-flying, bounty hunting, pompadour combing fun. I just can't say enough about the show.
Moon Knight number 2. The first issue felt like it was missing something, but this issue was stunningly unique and just downright awesome.
Topping the charts this week.
Inhuman number 1. As I said before, nothing about it has yet legitimizes it as anything more than a different kind of X-Men.
And in the bottom 3, not even worthy of a bargain bin. At number 3, we have Recently My Sister is Unusual. It's a series that seems like it should be harmless enough, but instead ultimately creates a cast of unlovable characters who just do things for the sake of doing them.
Number 2, Detective Comics number 30. Again, as I said, I'm just not feeling it so far. Not as bad as The Dark Knight, but just eh.
Less whimsical and more of a curse at number 2, we have Magical Warfare. This is one of 3 series that have come out this year, aside from Wizard Barristers and Witchcraft Works. And essentially it's proving to be just a cheap knockoff of the same concept, with its poor grasp of storytelling and its own laws of physics and reality.
Number 1, Trinity of Sin, The Phantom Stranger at number 18. I just haven't been feeling the series much from the start, and nothing's changed, and we're still dragging into the same villain we've had the entire series, with nothing more new. Meh.
Number 1 at the absolute bottom of this stank list is ZX Ignition. Essentially, we're looking at yet another Yu-Gi-Oh! Knockoff. It essentially has no backstory, no explanation as to why these creatures are on Earth, why they went from these huge monolithic creatures that you do not dare to challenge. And now they're, for some reason, under control of lucky humans on the planet. Basically, this is just serving as more of an audience attention grab at best. Even if you're flipping through commercials, keep going.
Hey, Mitch, I got a new thing for my phone.
Like a peripheral?
Yeah, see?
Is it the one that says grenade?
You just
No, throw it away! Throw it away! Good. The Guitar Hero guitar. It takes a lot of work to downgrade a guitar to a functional toy, but I've got a lot of good memories on this thing. And it's the reason I'll never learn to play a real guitar, which is great, because then I don't have to practice.
Bad. The Virtual Boy, aka the worst thing ever. This was the first attempt at true 3D gaming and getting children to give themselves migraines. It was heavy, the graphics were only one color, and it gave people motion sickness. Bottom line, it sucked.
Random. The Oculus Rift. This isn't random because no one knows if it's going to be good or not. I mean, yeah, it could possibly usher in a new era of 3D gaming, but it could also just brainwash everyone. No one knows.
Good. A mouse and keyboard. The MKB is the controller of choice for the hardcore PC gamer. Its multitude of buttons opens up players to an entirely different spectrum of options, and some genres like MOBAs or real-time strategy are so complex that they can't be played any other way. It's kind of a big deal.
Bad. The Xbox One camera. The camera's technically functional, but no other gaming peripheral has ever been scary. A lot of gamers have complained that they can't turn the camera off. Many keep it unplugged, but does that turn it off? Or is it just resting?
Random. Touchscreens. They're really as inconsistent as devices possibly can get. Most companies don't know how to make a game that properly uses the touchscreens, and if they only use touchscreens, well, the controls are usually wonky. But every now and again, it does come together, and we get great games like Mind Flip. And you better tell Aaron Bush at Killer Penguin Studios to release that game already. I want to play it on my phone.
Good. The N64 controller. This controller was everything a kid with 3 hands could ever want. You see, back in the late 90s, we had a lot of problems with mutations. I'm not allowed to tell you about the dark times. Sorry.
Bad. The Wii U controller. It's very clunky and it's kind of a mess. It's like trying to play a Game Gear and a separate game at the same time. The best Wii U titles tend to kind of avoid it.
Random. The Power Glove. Well, technically, this thing was useless. We here at Nerdcast can't decide if this was cool or not. It was cool.
I said I was sorry.
No, it's not okay. Okay, look, I'm going to start a Twitter campaign to have you removed from the show.
This isn't Colbert. Dude, you're being overly sensitive.
Oh yeah, how?
We'll let Jess explain that. Take it away, Angry Jess.
You know she's that way, right?
Okay. We here at Nerdcast do have to admit that our lead writer, Edward, wanted to pen this rant for a very good reason. He interned at the Colbert Report, and due to the events about to be explained and discussed, he's been rocking his wrist-strong armband pretty hard this week. All right, warning given. Now for a long story short. Comedy Central took down a tweet written on the Colbert Report Twitter page after mass hysteria was caused by a said tweet, and believed to be racist and going way too far. The tweet was a parody joke towards an outreach attempt by Redskins owner Dan Snyder towards the Native Americans. This was, however, overlooked by its viewers, and the internet freaked out, because of course it does. An angry wave of heightened Puritanism launched its own hashtag in retaliation, calling for the cancellation of Colbert and the entire show. This leads me to question, beyond the fame of a show, or the networks, or the digital media, why did they attack Colbert and not the foundation in which they were parodying? Though the tweet was considered offensive, why were people's reaction to immediately call for the report's cancellation? The reaction was so blatant that it questions how serious those calling for Colbert's cancellation actually were, and which ones were people just jumping onto a social network bandwagon. Hashtag Colbert cancellation. It's now just too easy for people to take action without doing their own research and shoot the messenger rather than fight the problem and stop the cause of it. Conclusion. We need to find ways of educating ourselves in the issues found in the digital media and social networks before blatantly commenting, attacking, or joining in movements that only seem to be going after the whistleblower instead of the actual problem itself. We need to think before we comment or tweet. End rant. You want me a new phone?
Why did you download a bomb?
I didn't download a bomb. I bought a peripheral.
A peripheral.
A peripheral.
Penelope.
Penelope.
Sniffleupagus.
You owe me a new phone. Go buy it.
Okay. I'll see you next week, guys. Waking up.
I'm gonna boop adorable klutz. I'm talking to you, and I'm this close to hitting Mitch. Can I do the show by myself this week? I bet you I could do both of ours better than he could.
Ooh, shiny.
I just have a dead computer that I took apart with the screwdriver and a hatchet.
Remember, this is Nerdcast, not Geek Squad.
Why does everything have so much help? Why is Mitch so obnoxious?
Wouldn't you say that's the smell? That smell could be anything.
Yay! Fitting in is super hard, you guys.
Nah, that sounded bad. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm changing it. I've changed the rules.
As a Gmail background, have your pictures photobombed by David Hasselhoff.
I love that story so much. I love that that happened. That's a thing. That happened. That's a thing. That's amazing.
Sorry.
Okay, someone died, but the rest of it's really funny.
Edward, if you're watching this, I want a Jack and Coke now. If you're going to write it in, you're going to bring it in.